Hey everybody, hope you're well, and it's James here. Sorry I haven't done a video for a while, but I've just been incredibly busy launching the walk project. But I wanted to do a video on NEARCON 23, and it was a really good event. And I know pretty much just before NEARCON, Near was $1, and now it's at 170, I believe. And I think it's still got legs. I think the most encouraging thing is that we are seeing signs of growth back into the bull market, with the potential of an ETF across not just Bitcoin but also Ethereum, as well as the halving of Bitcoin as well, which is again a major event which we're all looking forward to. Now, just as a FYI, NEARCON, I mean, it's great value for money. I've got to say that, because last year I went and it was €300 a ticket, and I thought, okay, a bit pricey. And then I looked at some of the Ethereum events for 2 days, which was like 1,500 quid, and actually I thought, okay, it's a bargain. But then all your meals, your breakfast, your coffees, your drinks throughout the day, and I'm not talking like any old shit, I'm talking Red Bull, Coke, full fat, diet, whatever your preference is, all day long. And then the project sponsor the events in the evening, and you get to go to a club or a party, and again, just all drinks are free. And this year it was €99. So I thought, they'll be cutting back somewhere. And they absolutely didn't. They delivered yet again on an amazing event, met loads of amazing people. Big shout out to Raphael, Daniel, Dimitri, and all the usual suspects that we met out there that have been there before, and we've seen again. So it was a really great event, and I took my business partner this time, because obviously he's the genius behind the real-time payment stuff. So I really wanted him to get involved with what's going on. But what I wanted to do was just highlight some of the key points that was sort of brought up, and maybe explain them a little bit so people understand what they are. Because I'll be honest, from a technical point of view, sometimes some of the things go over my head. I have to take notes, and then I have to review and go back. I'll also talk about some of the stuff that some of the investors were talking about. So if there's any projects out there looking for cash and things, like what are they looking for and where are they looking, and also most importantly, where's the cash coming from? So let's start to dig into some of the key points. So I think one of the best bits for a lot of people was the NEARCON dollars, where you could go around the event and collect NCONs, and you got loads of free merch, which was pretty cool. So that started the event off really well. But the nuts and bolts, the technical stuff, we'll really get into. So something that they launched there was something called ZK WASM, which is Zero Knowledge WebAssembly. Now, to try and explain this in the most simplest terms, imagine you have a magical box, and that can solve tricky puzzles without anybody seeing how you do it. Well, ZK WASM is a bit like that magical box for computers. It stands for Zero Knowledge WebAssembly, and in simple words, what I'm trying to say, it helps computers do secret tasks without telling anybody exactly how they're doing it, and it's like having a superhero computer that can keep things private while still getting the job done. So that's the simplest way I could sort of break it down for you guys. And one of the big announcements that happened while we were there, so Polygon has collaborated with the NEAR Foundation to develop a zero-knowledge prover tailored for the WASM-based blockchains. This allows seamless bridging between the WASM chains like NEAR and Polygon over an ever-expanding ecosystem. And one of the other things that they were talking about is this long-term picture where this interoperability of all, like being able to go across all chains at any time for any reason. And that was a big thing that really came out from. Then the big man, Ilya Pushkin, he sort of outlaid really where this could be used, or real life example. The first one was privacy protection. So allowing computers to perform tasks without revealing the specifics of what they did. And this is generally quite crucial in situations where privacy is paramount, such as handling like sensitive financial transactions, personal information, maybe stuff like the NHS, or really confidential data. The other one was enhanced security by enabling computerization to take place without exposing the underlying detail. And that enhances the security of the digital process. It sort of minimizes the risk of data breaches or unauthorized access to critical information. I think many a times we've seen a lot of big companies, they've been hacked and our data's leaked. And then, I had a friend who had his there was a data leak, and then they actually got into his PlayStation account and spent 450 quid. He's then had to really spent the last 2 weeks trying to sort that out. So this enhanced security thing is massive. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So you can use zk-WASM in a particular, relevant in the realms of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and sort of facilitating that creation of privacy-focused smart contracts. And in that way, you can ensure that transactions and contract details remain confidential while still being verified. The other one was trust in digital interactions. In various online interactions, obviously trust is crucial, and zk-WASM contributes to building trust. And that's just really by allowing parties to prove the validity of their actions without disclosing sensitive information. And this is really beneficial in scenarios like maybe online voting. We all know what happened with Trump, Joe Biden, where, 360,000 people from one state voted and they were all dead. So, it just adds integrity to the process for essential things like this. And I think voting for the President of America is quite essential. Compliance and regulation. So in industries with strict privacy and regulations such as finance and healthcare, it can really help in organisations comply with these rules by ensuring that the sensitive data is handled securely and privately. There's also innovative applications of this, and it really opens the door wide to sort of new innovations and applications where just privacy is a huge concern. Obviously, the big one that jumps to mind is obviously DeFi and that identity verification. And there's potentially other areas where secure and private verifiable computation is necessary in those situations. So in summary, zk-WASM will play a really crucial role in safeguarding privacy and security in various digital interactions. This is really important because in the advancement of that field in computer science and technology is where we're going. It's, as much as we want to deny AI and all these different things, it's coming, and it will happen. It just depends on how quickly it gets regulated and how much it's integrated into everyday life. One of the other things that they talked about was an AI agent. Now, the only way I could describe this is, imagine you have a little robot friend that can think and learn like you do. Well, that's kind of what an AI agent is. The AI agent is like a smart buddy for computers. It helps them do tasks by learning and figuring out things on their own, and it's like a helpful sidekick that makes computers even more awesome. So potentially like having a bit of a PA that helps you out, and you don't have to pay them, which is pretty cool. So Ilya Pushkin also made suggestions where AI agents could be used. One of them was chapter component interfaces. So that's sort of enabling seamless communication between users and computer components through a conversational interaction. There was actions in AI agent. So that was really about executing tasks and making decisions autonomously based on learned patterns and data. So really it's a bit like algorithm learning. There's also framework. So obviously have a structured foundation providing guidelines and tools for building and organizing software applications. The other one was language-based Oracle. So obviously a system providing insight or answers based on sort of a natural language input. Data and compute marketplaces. So platforms connecting buyers and sellers of data or computing resources to facilitate sort of exchanges in the digital economy that we're all getting ready for, really, I suppose. Us guys that listen to this YouTube or going to the events, we're prepared. Some of the other guys, they're going to be hit pretty hard with some information pretty fast, I think. And then the other one was the functional agent performing specific roles. So that's just basically specialized digital entities designed and carry out tasks and functions within a broader system. So really that's saying that the door's open to go and build whatever you want, basically. So, but it was quite... He's very passionate about what's happening and things. So it was great to see that these things are pushing forward. And I think Near blockchain is a very progressive blockchain. and they seem to, they can't put a foot wrong is how I'm seeing it all. And then you layer on top things like the foundation, they give away grants, and then you've got the Horizon program that then helps those people who've got grants and opens up doors, helps them with social media. How, you know, I attended one of the courses and it was sort of how to give feedback in tricky situations. And obviously being a sales manager for over 20 years and managing thousands of people, I know how valuable those skills are, and it's not always a skill that's learnt day to day. You know, there's a certain structure to it and things. So that there was lots of things that will help founders get up and running, and that took me into some of the interesting facts. So there was a lot of VCs there. I've probably seen about 20 speak or so. Some of them were in groups, some of them doing individual things. I won't tell you everything that happened because there's so much interesting stuff. But I think what I'll do is I'll just maybe give you the summary points, because I think that's easier, because you don't want to be here all day. I'm sure you've got lives. The big one was that actually Europe has the most cryptocurrency startups. But the big thing was it lagged in scale. But that was really sort of, you know, if you looked at 2016, the Americans were investing hard. And when I say hard, they were 80%. And they've obviously dropped off more recently, but that led to bigger cryptocurrency companies being stateside, but Europe really is starting to carry its own. Crypto actually attracted a record 5.7 billion in funding in 2022, and all areas contracted, so Asia, America, but EU funding was actually the most resilient area by far, where other areas dropped by like 90%. Europe dropped by about 47%. So actually, Europe has been quite heavily protected, and they did a big, said how many Americans are in the room, and they put their hands up. There must have been about 100, and they said how many people live in Portugal, and another 50 people kept their hands up. So they were sort of saying, especially around Lisbon area, it's really becoming a bit of a hotspot for blockchain companies. There was also a higher proportion of early stage cryptos and a younger ecosystem in Europe right now. So that was really interesting to see. So it's obviously what the Americans have done has inspired another a generation of people to come through and start building. So the other one was that Europe startups have a bigger geographical diverse cap table. Now, if you don't know what a cap table is, it basically means just different investors. I had to actually look that up. No shame in that. Don't know everything. And that's versus sort of more traditional tech. And what they were saying is that actually more US investors are now starting to cross the pond, where a lot of certain VCs, they actually have certain areas, and I would say the bulk of their portfolios will either sit in sort of APAC, Europe, US, or North America, depending. But they sort of were open still to different opportunities if it was the right opportunities. I think one was heavily North America, but done some stuff in India and stuff. So there is a bit of variety there. The other really interesting facts that came out were the biggest area where funding is up is infrastructure, which was really interesting for me, because obviously with what we're doing with the real-time payments and potentially being the first blockchain in banks, I mean, that's huge. So that was really nice to hear. So that meant, one, we're in the right space, we're building the right thing, and actually, and we've seen that with some of the VCs. Actually, we've had a lot more meetings recently where they're more open to talk about things, and it gives us some confidence that we're doing the right things, if that makes sense. Because I think the whole market has been down, and everyone's been nervous about where the next pennies are coming from. The big one for me was across Europe, Web3 and DeFi has declined sharply, and I think it might have been the DeFi in particular. Globally, in 2023, there has been no Series B or no Series C. So obviously, with the drop in the market, like the NFTs really just dropped off a cliff, and that's the same that's happened with DeFi. They were all pretty bullish in the future about DeFi and where it's going, but again, I do agree, but I think there's a big but in there where I think the banks want they want the control, like having all this private money that no one knows about anything, how a tax is paid and stuff like this. There's this governments and banks will still want that control, and I think that's where we'll probably end up with stuff like CBDCs and things like that, because that's on the agenda. It will happen at some point, and so it was really interesting to hear all these things and hear all the different speakers. And like I said, it's 4 days and it was €99. I had a shitload of food and drink and it was great. There was amazing company, loads of great people, people that visited the walk stand. Massive thank you to you guys. So it's probably a good time to do a bit of a shout out to Mark, Clems, Corey, David, Mr. Potato, as he is well known, come up and see us. Like all these people that have been so helpful and guiding us, and the guys at the Horizon and the Foundation have been so supportive. And I just think it's a great atmosphere to be in when you go to one of these conferences, and you just feel connected day one, and people are so friendly. That's probably the booze. It's a great way to meet people. So yeah, NEARCON 23, I think it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It was nice and warm as well, with a little bit of rain. Met some great people, and yeah, I'll definitely be going to NEARCON 2024, and we will probably look to take a few people with us next year, and that'd be really interesting. But I just wanted to say that it was great. It's definitely worth going. You learn loads of stuff. I hope this video was interesting and informative, and hopefully gives you a summary of what was talked about at NEARCON without having to sit through 4 days worth of presentations. So hopefully I've saved you a bit of time there. But thanks for listening as always, and I'll catch you on the next video. I'm feeling